Alright, Govs. So, Tyrone here. I'm not going to do that accent the whole time. Hey guys, Tyrone here again with another traffic talk. There's no intro because this guy over here, as you can see, is on low HP and is currently unable to provide the services for which I hire him. So, no beatboxing. We'll get back on that eventually when he heals up. Today we're going to be chatting about something. We're going to keep this one to about 12 minutes. Start timing me. Today we're talking about something someone that actually suggested this like last year, and I'm only getting to it now. And that's the concept of being stuck in the Matrix, or living in the Matrix. So let me explain this whole idea to you guys. I'm sure you guys know what the Matrix is, I would hope. But it all fits in the same umbrella. So let me make these out quickly. The Truman Show, anyone over there? If you guys have seen the Truman Show? The Truman Show is basically about a guy who, when he was born, was bought by a TV station, put into a huge dome, and he doesn't know he's been put into this dome, and everyone around him is actually an actor, and there's cameras everywhere. The whole thing is that the show is about him. It's a 24-hour stream about this guy's life. So there's obviously actors playing his mom and his wife and his friends. They come in and out, and there's a guy living. There's a group, like a team of directors. They are like watching over him, changing camera angles, introducing characters as friends or interests, whatever, as this show goes on. But the whole idea through this whole thing is that Truman doesn't know that he's in a TV show. He's just living his life normally. And the movie is actually about how he finds out. So things start happening. He starts looking around and he realizes, okay, this obviously isn't something here isn't real. So yeah, the purpose of that show, or the purpose of that movie, well, one of the things it does, let me put it that, I don't know if I would say it's a purpose, but one of the things that does is kind of make you question, how would you know if you're living inside of a TV show? I mean, there could be actors all around you, there could be cameras in places you don't think of or know of. How do you know when you're being watched? It's a bit of a paranoid statement, but how do you know? How do you know what's going on? That's kind of one of the things, it's that seed of doubt. And the same thing happens with the Matrix, right? You guys haven't seen the Matrix movies, you should probably do that, since it's like one of the most popular things in pop culture, I would say, in this type of realm. But the movie, or the main movie premise is, everyone's trying to summarize these very quickly because 12 minutes. It's basically about how machines have taken over the world, and they need humans to act as batteries. So because of the way that they've wired us in, everyone gets a jack at the back of their head, you get plugged into the Matrix, and you all live within a simulated world that exists, and you interact within the simulated world. So think VR type of space where everything is around you, simulated, and you're just looking at what a computer program essentially. And so we're all living in a simulated world, and the real world is being controlled by humans. I mean, not by humans, by machines, and those machines are just using us for batteries. And the whole thing is about the red pill or blue pill. So I'm sure you've seen that picture in places before. Choose your pill. The one will put you back in the Matrix and let you carry on ignorant to the fact that you're actually not living a real life and you're just simulated. And the other one will force you to wake up and you come to the harsh reality that is the real world. And I mean, the real question is, which pill do you take? How do you know if you're in the Matrix or not in real life? So the conversation goes on further of people like Elon Musk, who make a statement that because of the way that computers are going at this point in time, it's a very real chance, this is his words, phrasings, there's a very real chance that everything we're doing right now is actually within a simulated environment. So how are we going to tell the difference between a simulated world and a real world? I mean that's the whole point of VR, right? To make it as realistic as possible, trying to trick your senses to, wearing those goggles, wearing the earphones, that you're really in that space. That's the whole idea behind it. And that's the whole idea behind all these type of questions, is how do you know if you're in the Matrix? How would we know if we're in a simulated environment? So this is a bit of a tricky question. You can't really answer it if you really want to think through it deeply. The simulated environment being all that you know, you wouldn't know how to break out of a simulated environment. Other shows have done things like this. Doctor Who did a whole thing like this, where aliens copied the world, dumped them into a simulation, and then ran a whole bunch of things in that simulation to see how they'd react towards an alien invasion. Good show, guys, if you haven't watched Doctor Who. But the concept is in pop culture, it's in culture for years now. How do we know what is real? This is philosophy 101. How do I know that this is a car that I'm in? The old ancient statement when it comes to philosophy is, how do you know the chair you're sitting on is really a chair? How do you know you are you? And I think therefore I am is kind of the answer here. Was for a long time. We see the world through empirical evidence, which is a very big way of saying they can feel the physical. See, so one of us has to be real because I can do this. Or it could be simulated. That's now the next step. It could all be simulated. It could be in a fake world, and we wouldn't know. So how do you answer this question? Well, doing a bit of digging. There's some really good other videos out there. I might drop some down below. If you're into this kind of topic, I'm dealing with this very superficially, guys, because 12 minutes. So I'm dealing with this very superficially, but there are other conversations and it gets a little bit more complicated. But essentially, one of the ways that you would know if you are, well, one of the reasons they know we're not in a simulated environment is because the computational power needed for such a thing at this point in time doesn't exist. So Elon Musk said this, I think, or someone else that I was watching said this: the more our computational power increases, the chances of us being within a simulated environment grows, because we're now realizing the full capabilities of having that kind of computational power. When I'm talking about computational power, I'm talking about the ability for a simulation to run effectively without, to use a poor phrasing here, but lag, where everything is running and simulating properly without any hitches, without anything breaking down. At this point in time, the computational power doesn't exist. There's a couple of physicists who are running an experiment, not for this, but for something else. But as they looked at the results for that, they realized that the power needed to simulate a couple of electrons, let alone entire cities and people, would be astronomical. Would be, I don't know how to phrase this properly, but basically the computer would have to be the size of our current universe. There's really cool computers out there, like this is like a random nerdy fact, but there's this idea behind like the deep thinker, which is basically like a computer that they build and then they put it around a sun, and then the sun acts as the energy source for the computer, and then it can, like, you know, do a whole bunch of calculations because it's got all this power. That's quite a cool idea, but yeah, that's not going to happen within like our lifetimes. But that's a really random idea, and it's really cool to see how people are thinking through like getting the energy you need to run this kind of thing. Anyway, those are my thoughts. The Matrix. How do we know we're not in it? Because physically it's not possible in terms of the computation power. But also, cheerfully, it doesn't really matter. Because your experience right now is your experience, whether artificial or not. There's nothing you can really do about it. So you might as well just try and enjoy what you have. Look, there's other conversations around this, like randomness. Randomness is not something you can program, right? Whenever a system is designed to be random, it's not essentially random. There's algorithms that are in place, and it will only operate under certain spaces. So you can't have a computer, well, you can. It takes a lot of complications to write this, but you can't have a computer that spits out 6 digits randomly and then, you know, every once in a while throws in something else completely random. So a human, you can ask for random statements and he can say banana loaf, and then the next time he can yell out Chuck Norris. And so a human can say absolutely anything if you ever ask them for something random. A computer can only give out random information within parameters that's been set for it. Is that too complicated? I think it's simple. In my mind, this is a very simple statement, but I might be like going a bit crazy here, but it's a simple statement. You cannot program true randomness, because by the virtue of you programming something, you're creating parameters for a system to operate within. Unless you use like deep learning that understands the concept of random and pulls from different sources. Even then, it's limited to the sources, where if you ask a human to do something random, they could randomly pick up a pen and draw something purple, or they could talk about Jack Norris, or they could start a YouTube channel and talk about rubbish. So randomness is something that prevents actual simulations from really existing. That's kind of my point. But yeah, that's been the video. Are you in the Matrix? Maybe. Does it matter? No. Thanks for watching. We are at the 12-minute mark in a couple seconds. So click my face if you want to subscribe. Leave a like. Let me know how you feel about being stuck in a simulation. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!